So Parashat Vayishlah seems to be interested in names. So a couple people are named and renamed. Rachel gives birth to a son who she calls Ben Oni. And then Yaakov immediately changes his name to Binyamin. And then kind of as like the main event of our story, of our parasha, Yaakov's name is changed to Yisrael. So number one, why is Yaakov's name changed? And why does he continue to be known as both Yaakov and as Yisrael from this point forward? You know, earlier in Sefer Bereshit and Parashat Zayin, as part of Vayishlah, Avram's name is changed to Abraham. And there are a number of similarities actually between Abraham's name change and Yaakov's name change, but one major difference is actually that Abraham's name is changed like once and for all for good from Avram to Abraham, whereas Yaakov is actually continuously referred to as both Yaakov and Yisrael even after his name is changed. And the question is why? Number two, Yaakov's name is changed not once but twice in our parasha. And I want to try to understand why. Are these two separate events? Is it a repetition of the same event? And what is so important about names and naming that they receive this kind of emphasis? So I want to look for 1 second about, at both times Yaakov is renamed in our parasha. The first takes place in Perek Lamed Bet, and the second takes place in Perek Lamed Hey. So the first time, it's this mysterious Ish, Chazal understand as a Malach who changes Yaakov's name. But the second time in our parasha that Yaakov is named Yisrael, it's actually Hashem who renames him. Number two, the first time the Malach sort of starts out by asking Yaakov's name, Ma Shimcha, and the second time Hashem begins by telling him, Shimcha Yaakov. Number three, the first time Yaakov asks the Malach for his name, Hagida Nashemecha, but he doesn't get an answer. The Malach answers him, Lama zeh tishal lishmi. The second time, however, Hashem actually states Hashem's own name, Ani Kel Shakai. Number four, the first time this Malach gives Yaakov his new name Yisrael, he gives a reason for the name. Kisarita im Elokim v'im anashim batuchal, because you persevered, you fought, you struggled with divine and human beings, whatever that means, v'tuchal, and you triumphed and you prevailed. But the second time, Hashem doesn't give Yaakov a reason for his name change to Israel, but rather a promise, a haftacha of zera and aretz, of inheriting a great nation and a great land. And in this way, Hashem is sort of formally including Yaakov in the brit that Hashem made with Abraham and Yitzchak before him. So why is Yaakov renamed? Just like for Abraham, Yaakov's entering into the brit requires some sort of identity transformation as he takes on this new mission. So like in the case of Abraham, the name change reflects the transformation that's necessary in order to enter into a brit with Hashem. But why is Yaakov named twice? And why does he retain both of these names throughout the rest of his life? So it's interesting actually that Yaakov's renaming as Yisrael seems in a small way to be like recreating his original naming after his birth. When Yaakov and Yitzchak are still in Rivka's womb, the Torah says, Vayitrotitzu habanim b'kirba. They were struggling with each other. And how does Yaakov emerge into the world? He's gripping onto the akev of his brother, which is the reason for his name Yaakov. Now in Perek Lamed Bet, Yaakov's new name is given after a struggle with the Malach, who injures Yaakov not on his akev but on his yerech. So we see that Yaakov, or Yisrael, he is a fighter and a perseverer from the moment of his birth until the moment he's formally initiated into the brit with Hashem. But the thing is that Yaakov also has another side. He's also described as an ish tam, which is a difficult word to pin down, simple or peaceful, or certainly the opposite of what we might think of as an aggressive fighter. And similarly, the second renaming of Yaakov to Israel doesn't speak of struggle. It doesn't speak of this fight. It only speaks of the mission and purpose for which Yaakov is being chosen. So different moments call for different types of responses, and our challenge is really to know when to be the perseverer fighter, and when to be humble, when to take action, and when to take a step back. And this is sort of the challenge that Yaakov, Yisrael's dual identity seems to represent. As the inheritors of Yisrael's name, the nation that emerged from him, we can sort of apply, I think, this lesson to ourselves. As Am Yisrael, we do have a history of perseverance, but we're not only fighters. And in fact, it can be dangerous to focus too much on acquiring strength and acquiring power. We're also supposed to be anashim timimim, like Yaakov. We know when to step back. We know when to be humble. You know, on the one hand, we should have a strong sense of pride and strength in our identities as members of Am Yisrael. But we should also remember the tzmimut of Yaakov is equally important. So wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom and Barach.